Wie ein Phantom. 1, 2, 3, Schüsse in die Luft, alle gucken hoch.
Hey everybody, it is, as usual, third Saturday of the month, Dissect a Song. So for this month, I have gone with a German selection. This one is Namika's Phantom. Phantom means ghost. So if you're a speaker of any Germanic or Latin-based language, it's typically, you probably would have known that by now, so to say. So if you're speaking Latin-based languages, this word is typically used across a lot of them. Sometimes the accent is different, but phantom basically across a lot of different languages can mean the same thing. So yeah, from one language to another. So I've got the lyrics and I'm ready to dissect. So this particular artist, I really like her because she is born in Germany. German is, I know that that is her first language. Yeah, but I know that her roots are in Morocco, because I know that she did an album called Nador a few years back. That one was, Nador, actually, I looked that up because she had the title song for that album. I was listening to it and I thought, okay, like, what does Nador mean? Like, I literally thought it meant something in German, and I looked it up, and Nador is actually a city in Morocco. I believe it's like closer to the ocean. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I looked that up. But yeah, so a lot of her songs pretty much go back to her Moroccan roots. And I kind of love that because, especially like in Europe, it's very diverse. There's a lot of migration that does take place there, especially because I know that there's people who come from like different places within south or east of the Mediterranean that do migrate up that way. So, I think it's really cool that, the people, not only are they born in one country, they actually stay true to like the roots in which they came from. So it's true. You should never forget where you come from. So, yeah. We're going to get started with this one. So the very first part of the song is basically the refrain. This is kind of like the hook that you're going to mainly see repeated throughout the song. So it starts off as wie ein Phantom, 1, 2, 3 Schüsse in die Luft. So the first is, so wie ein Phantom, it means like a ghost. Wie can also mean how, but it depends on the context. So you could say wie as in like wie viel kostet das, like how much does this cost? Or you can say ich bin Jazz wie das Musik, der Musik, die Musik. Die Musik. I think that music is feminine, weiblich. Yeah. So everything's fact checked on the screen. So yeah, so you can use it as a way of saying, like, asking how something is done, or you can use it as a way of just saying that, like, of making a comparison. Wie ein Phantom. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That's simple. It's just counting 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Schüsse in die Luft. Schüsse means like shot, a kick, or like an injection. Those are like what word reference has pretty much mentioned. But in context of this, Luft means like breath, or it can mean air. So from what I'm seeing is 1, 2, 3 shots in the air. Okay. Alle gucken nur nach. So all looking or watching, only high. So it's like everyone. Alle can mean different things. It's also the same thing. It kind of has the same meaning as like tu or tout, depending on like the gender. But tu or tu, like where the word all can mean everyone or everything. So when it comes to alle, you have to really pay attention to the context. So it says alle gucken. Gucken means like to look or to watch. So it means like everyone's watching. Watching only high. So it's like everyone's only nur hoch. So everyone's always looking up. Everyone. So like a ghost, 1, 2, 3, shot in the dark. Everyone's looking only in the air, or only looking up. Jede Nacht, jeden Tag unterwegs, bis die Engel mich holen. So jede Nacht means every night, every day, underway, or unterwegs can also mean like en route, like en route. You know, so it's basically saying every night, every day. Also notice the fact that Nacht is also feminine, so that's why it's jeder instead of jeden. And I know that that can be used in the accusative sense, because jeden typically, based on the ending en, that typically will show you what gender it is. So even if you don't know the genders from der, die, and das, you can pretty much figure out what the gender is by the different cases. Or because the adjectives and the articles typically correspond with the noun. So usually if you're seeing like something that has, like, let's say if you're talking about like your I'm trying to think of something to really make an example of, like, for example, like what is it, okay, so neuter, like the word das Buch. You may not automatically tell, I mean, you would automatically tell that it's neutral based on the article das, but if you're looking at it in the context of, okay, like gender, and the definite article is not there, you can tell by the ending. Let's say you're talking about einem Buch, like, so you're using the dative context. You can tell typically what gender it is by the ending of the article, or the ending of the adjective that's corresponding with that. Okay, so every night, every day, underway or en route. Bis die Engel mich holen. Okay, so bis means until. Bis die Engel, until the angel mich holen. Okay, so in German sometimes things can be backwards, so it's like because holen, or actually, like, that's kind of like the way that they would speak it, but holen is the actual word. In speech, certain times letters get dropped off. You know, like going, going, I'm going to, I'm gonna. So when you speak very quickly, words, sometimes letters get dropped off. But holen, usually the verbs go to the end. Like, you have the conjugation of whatever the main verb is, but then, like, if there's a secondary verb in the sentence, then it goes to the end, and then the object, or the like the object is being acted upon, or whoever is complete, or whatever the indirect object is, and either one, they're typically going to be in the middle of the sentence. It's very confusing, and I think I'm going to actually probably make a video on German, because I know it's so confusing, and I just want to kind of I probably will share thoughts about how to kind of like make German less confusing. So yeah. So until the angel mich is the accusative form of me. So there's mir is dative. Like when you're talking about like time, or you're going to a particular place, like movement from one place to another, like passing of time, typically you'll use dative. Like if you're asking someone how they're doing, you can say wie geht es dir, like that is you, informally, but dative context. Accusative is like if you are the one that the subject is acting on. The subject is the angel, and it's acting upon you. So bis die Engel mich holen, until the angel delivers me. Holen can also mean like to get, or to call, or to achieve. It depends on the context. So you can't always rely on Google Translate in this case. You have to really rely on the context of what is being spoken, if that makes sense. Okay. And then after that it says und sie jagen meinen Schatten. Okay, so and sie can mean three different things. So sie actually means she in third person, and then sie can also mean they with lowercase, and then if you capitalize the S on sie, it can mean you, formally speaking. So you have to depend on the context. The only distinction that you have with like the thing is, it just depends on who you're talking to. So like if you're noticing that like in third person you're using sie to describe a female person, female pronoun, then you're going to see the conjugation is going to be conjugated in, the verbs are going to be conjugated in third person. So that's how you know that that's a female you're particularly talking about. If you're talking about they, it'll be a lowercase z, S-E-A. Then you'll have the verb conjugated in that particular format. And then you'll also notice the difference between they and you formally speaking, when you see that the conjugation is going to, for they and you formally, their conjugation is the same. Only difference is that one has a capitalized pronoun and the other one doesn't. In German, the personal pronouns, all personal pronouns except sie, as in formally speaking, everything's lowercase. You don't even capitalize ich for me. You know, like in English, we capitalize the word I, as in I am doing whatever. In German, they don't do that. And actually, I think they don't do that in a lot of different languages. So just as a context on that is, in this case, they're talking about they. So it's saying, und sie jagen. So jagen is like, it's like to hunt or to follow. Again, depends on context. So meinen Schatten. So they hunt or they follow my shadow. Schatten is like shadow or shade. So meinen is, that's again with some letters dropped off. It would be meinen, which is the accusative form of saying mine. So it's like the object that's being acted upon is the shadow, Schatten, so that corresponds. So instead of saying mine, you would say meinen. So yeah. And then it says, bis längst schon auf neuer Mission. Okay, so bin, I'm assuming that they're dropping off the pronoun on that, because it would be ich bin, which means I am. So it's like am, and längst basically means like a long time, or like some time ago, or for a long time. Bin längst schon, and for a long time, I'm already on a new mission. Okay, and I can tell that mission is feminine because neue has the er at the ending, and typically in dative context, in the dative case, the adjective typically is going to take an er at the end. So just so you know, and you can always tell if you use the dative, if you're going to use the dative, by the fact that auf is in front of neue. Typically auf is a preposition, and usually when you see prepositions, you also use dative, the dative context. Okay, I also have some resource. I'm going to actually link a playlist that is by Learn German with Anya. She has a really great set of videos that talks about all the 4 cases. So if you're confused when I'm talking about this, please refer to that, because she explains things really, really well in terms of how, in detail of how these are used. So just for your reference. And then it repeats again, wie ein Phantom, like a ghost. So yeah, so like a ghost, 1, 2, 3, shots in the dark. Everyone's looking. Everyone is only looking up. Every day, every night, every day underway until the angel delivers me, and they follow my shadow. For a long time, I am already on a new mission, like a ghost. So there you go. That's the refrain. So the first verse starts, heute Vogue, morgen Straße. So it means today, heute, today Vogue, tomorrow the street. Straße means street. It is a feminine word, so it would be die Straße if you were talking about, any particular street. So morgen can mean literally morning. So you can say guten Morgen, like good morning. But morgen can also mean tomorrow. It's kind of like how in Spanish you have mañana. Mañana means morning. But then you could also use mañana as talking about tomorrow. So it's like if you're talking about tomorrow morning, you can say hasta mañana en la mañana or something like that. I think it's really interesting. Okay, so tomorrow the street, weil ich so gern das bin. Okay, so weil means it means because. So because gerne can basically mean something that you like to do. Like if you're trying to say I like to drink coffee, you don't really have to say like ich liebe Kaffee. You really don't really need to do that. You can say ich trinke gern Kaffee. Like, I like to drink coffee. You know, it's like, yeah, I drink coffee. I like to drink it, you know, so to say. Or like something is a preference. So it's like, because ich so gern da bin. I don't know how to translate this literally because, again, German, they have a way of just switching words up. So what I'm basically going to translate in context is because I am very much there. So da means there. So it's like, and then there's ich bin. So you see, like, you'll see ich bin, but it's like they're separated because of the fact that there's words in between there. Yeah, so because I'm very much there. And then wo mich niemand erwartet. Okay, so wo means where. So where no one expects me. So it's like I'm very much there, but no one expects me. So so I'm very much there, where no one expects me. Again, that's mich, remember, accusative, so you're the one that's being acted on, you're the one that people are not expecting. And then schau, sie wollen es verreisen. Zerreisen. Yeah. So schau is like a way of saying like show or performance, or like sometimes in slang I know that it can also mean like cool or something like that. Again, there's different contexts, it just depends. Sie wollen es zerreisen. So they want it zerreißen is like saying like to crush or to rip apart or to bring down in flames. So it's like at a performance or at a show, they want it to be like they want me to like kill it, so to say. You know how we say in English, you know, it's like, oh, they want me to kill it. You know, it's gotta be good. Rap, Pop, ich soll mich entscheiden. So it's like rap, pop, soll comes from sollen, which basically means like to suggest, or like, it's like, it's not like something you like must do. It's like something that you should do. Like I should, like decide myself. So mich entscheiden. Like I must decide for myself. Aber das hier ist mein Film. But that here is my film. This is my film. You know, like this is my life. Sie können mich nicht greifen. They can me not take one, like help ones. Like, so it's basically like I was saying, it's confusing. Don't translate anything in German. Don't ever translate anything literally because everything's so jumbled up from like an English perspective. So it's like they cannot help themselves to me or like take me. So it's like almost like saying like they can't break me. And then it repeats again, wie ein Phantom, 1, 2, 3, Schüssen die Luft. And then the second verse, we're going to move to that one. So it says, Sie den Vorhang so seid, welche Stadt ist es heute? So, Sie basically is the imperative form of saying sehen. So it's like if you're trying to say, like, it's kind of like in English where you don't have to say like you do this. You would just say do this. You wouldn't use the subject. It's just like do this. Like if you're trying to say to someone, you don't run in the house, you would just say don't run in the house. That's the imperative form of using that. So it's saying, so sehen, from what the translation I got was, it means like to accuse. And then den, that is also an accusative article for a masculine word. So Vorhang is like a drape, like curtain, something you put on a window. Zur Seite, on the side. So it's like to accuse the curtains on the side or something like that. I think it might mean something else, but I'm probably going to look into that. Everything's fact checked on the screen. So I know that sometimes like I find like I have these translation tools because sometimes there's certain things that I miss, because I do in terms of German, like can get the general context, but I know that sometimes there's always like slang or something like that that comes in between. I actually feel like I learned so much, actually from doing these. So I feel like maybe I'm doing this more so for me than I am for you guys. Yeah. So, so it's, I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything, but it's like to like accusing the curtain on the side, something like that. Welche Stadt ist es heute? Which city is it today? So I think it has to. I think it's referencing performances. So it's like, which city are we in today? So it's like the curtains on the side. I think they're talking about like stage, so to say. Ich vermisse mein Zuhause. Ich vermisse. This would be ich vermisse, but again, when you're speaking in a natural pace, like I mentioned, words letters can get dropped off. So ich vermisse. Ich vermissen means like, vermission means to miss, like I miss you. Like you can say ich dich vermissen. Vermiss, yeah, ich dich vermisse. Yeah, like I miss you. Actually, she does have a song, I think that's on this, I think it's on this album, but it's called Ich will dich vermissen, which means I want to miss you. So, yeah. So it means I miss my house, like my home. Zuhause, like I know that house can actually mean like, house can basically mean house, but Zuhause is like home. So it's like, ich gehe zu Hause, I'm going home. So remember that. Zuhause is house, like Zuhause is home, and then Hause is like a house. Yeah. Okay. Erste Reihe voller Glatzen. So it says like first row. Erste is also like is also an adjective because it's describing the row. It is not a row, it is a first row. So the Reihe is actually feminine. So that's why you're going to see an E at the end of erste, because the adjectives correspond with the noun. We don't really do this in English, but also I noticed that from all the other languages that I know, particularly I know in French they do that too. I'm not necessarily, I know that in Italian they do that as well. But your articles and your adjectives have to correspond. If your noun is plural, your adjectives and your articles have to reflect that is plural, along with the gender. So it might be confusing, but again, that's why this playlist is linked below. Okay. And then, yeah, so erste Reihe voller can basically mean like full. So like if you're saying like something is like sehr voll, like something is very full. So it's like the first row is full of, and I was so confused when I looked this up. Glatzen, it means like bald heads or like skinheads. So I think what it's basically meaning, I think it's like in terms of like a blurry context, it's like the first row is full of like people's heads. I don't know. I think that's basically the context I get from this. Und sie wollen, dass ich schwach bin. Und sie wollen, you can tell by context, the Z is lowercase, so they're talking about they, because also wollen is the conjugation of they, for want. So wollen itself, that's actually the verb in the infinitive form, but with like when you're conjugating it in the wir, as in we, or sie, as in they, the conjugation doesn't change. So you can tell that it's because of, you can tell that they're talking about they, because the context, the conjugation. So sie wollen, if it was sie will, then it would mean she wants, versus sie wollen means they want. Okay, and then if the Z was capitalized, then it would be you want, formally. I don't know you, so I'm going to talk to you formally. So, dass ich schwach bin. Okay, das, that means like that I am, or that I weak or unstable am. So, they want, that is, that I'm weak. So it's basically like, it's like, and they want, like, so it's basically their first row full of bald heads, and they want that I am weak. Doch sie sehen nur mein Lachen. So it's like, doch, I mean, let me think about this. I think that with doch, I've noticed that it can be used as a way of saying yes. And then also it can mean like a conjunction to say like but or however. So in this context, I think it's doch, it's like, but they see only my laughter, if that makes sense. Okay? Und können es nicht fassen. And to be able to, it's an interesting conjugation, interesting sentence structure. Okay, so and to be able to grab it, to not be able to grab it. I think because es means it, but it wouldn't be können es. Like, I know that that's not a conjugation because es is third person conjugation, as third person pronoun. Können is either the infinitive verb or, yeah, it's either the infinitive verb or it's either conjugated in the wir, we, or sie, they, or sie, formal. So it's like, and they're not able to grab it. So I think that's what it is, because maybe in some cases, like even in English, sometimes we don't always pronounce the pronoun, or we don't actually say the pronoun that goes with it. We can just say can't grab it. It's like, oh, you know what happened, couldn't grab it. You know, like sometimes we will say things like that, but we won't use the pronoun that corresponds with who couldn't grab it, if that makes sense. Fasten means like to grab, or like it doesn't have to necessarily mean like, yeah, fasten doesn't have to mean necessarily like to grab something like physically. It can also mean like to get something. It can mean to understand, like to grasp understanding, like in the abstract sense, like to hold on or to contain something. So it can also mean in like the and depending on that context. So and then it repeats the refrain again. Wie ein Phantom, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then the last part is the bridge in the middle of the song. And so this one, it says, Gestern Frankfurt am Main. So gestern means yesterday. So yesterday, Frankfurt am Main. I looked this up because I was like, I know that Main means something. Like I in English, I know that in English context, it probably means like to, like it means like something in like in terms of like you know, something being like the main thing, because that's the cognate. I looked it up and it actually, like am Main basically means like at the capital or like at the main city. And I was like, I thought that was like Hauptstadt, like capital city. I thought that was the technical term that I've heard, but I guess that's another way of saying it. Am is, I believe, is dative, because it basically, I think it's like where, like one of those contractions where when two articles are together, they form a new one. So I think this means auf plus dem, and I think they just smushed that together and it contracted to am. Because like anytime you're talking about something happening during a time of day, it's always am Main, or like am Morgen, like in the morning, like, or am Sonntag, like at Sunday or on Sunday, something like that. So you'll see that. And then heute Wien, morgen Schweiz, es geht alles so schnell. So it's today Wien, morgen Schweiz. Okay, so we're talking about cities or countries. Heute Wien. I know that Wien is a city, I want to say it could be Austria. Again, everything's fact checked on the screen because I've heard of this city, but I can't remember if it's in Austria or if it's in Germany. Again, fact checked. And then morgen Schweiz means tomorrow. So today Wien, tomorrow Switzerland. So Schweiz is Switzerland. Es geht alles so schnell. It's it's going, like everything is going so fast. Eben 5,000 Leute. Eben basically means like it can basically mean like just now. Also, depending on their context, it can also mean like flat or like a level or like smooth or something like that. But in this context, I think it's really, she's talking about like now, like even now, 5,000 Leuten, 5,000 people. Fünf, we're learning some numbers today. 1, 2, 3, ja, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5,000 Leuten. So notice that like with 1,000, it sounds like 1,000. So that is a cognate that actually means the same thing. 5,000 Leuten, die schreien und jetzt wieder allein im Hotel. Schreit. Okay, yeah, so die schreit. I think I missed that one. I want to say that means like, I want to say that means like schreiben, but also I think it means like schreien. I think like the scream, like screaming or something like that, like because I think that's short for schreien. Yeah. Like, and die is also the feminine article, but it also can be plural. So usually when things are plural, they always, so just think of it, plurals are kind of like wannabe women, you know. Please, no one take that the wrong way. I mean, like I'm saying, it's trying to get into the feminine club, if that makes sense, like in terms of like the article. So think of it that way. Plurals, the article for plural acts like a feminine, but the only difference is that the ending for plural nouns is going to be different. So that's how you can tell that something is not feminine, but plural, because the ending of the noun is different, but the article is going to take the feminine article, which is die. Okay. Just think of it that way. Yeah, and then yeah, so the screams, and now again alone in the hotel. So it's like screaming, it's like just now 5,000 people, the screaming, and now again alone in a hotel. So think of a line. A line sounds like alone. So you can coordinate those contexts there. Okay. Im hotel. I think that is the contraction of in plus dem. So it contracts to im. So you can tell that hotel, I believe, I want to say is neuter, das Hotel. I've heard that. So, and neuter can sometimes take depending on the cases, will take the same article as the männlich, masculine nouns. So just remember that. And then, und sie wollen die Magie gern verstehen. And they want the magic really well to understand. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But basically, it's like, and they want the magic. Die Magie, gern. Gern is like, it's like a positive adjective. It's like saying yeah. And then also, yeah, and verstehen, it basically means to understand. Okay. Yeah. So they want to they really want to understand the magic. Ich verstehe sie ja nicht einmal selbst. So I understand it, or I understand them. Ja nicht. Ja nicht, like ja basically means yes, but in this context, ja can sometimes means like yeah, like it can be confirming something. Like you can say na ja, like of course, like there's na klar, which kind of means like which means the same thing. There's natürlich, which means of course or naturally, but basically, ja can also just be like there to just agree. Yeah, and then yeah, so it's basically I understand them. I don't understand them, because nicht means is negating. I understand them. I don't understand them. Einmal means once. It's like once. Selbst means like itself or by yourself or alone. So it's like selbst, like mein selbst means like myself. So I think what she's saying is like I have never once understood it. I was like, yeah, I've never understood the magic or whatever. Und erklär und erklärliche. Und erkläre. That's kind of hard to say. Because especially with the umlaute, it kind of like alters your expectation of how that's pronounced. Und erklärliche Seiten. So it's like unexplicable or like unexplainable time, like point in time. Seiten means time, so point in time. Manchmal kann ich nicht greifen. So manchmal, like sometimes I can't grasp it. Because greifen, I think we used that earlier. We talked about that. Yeah. So it's like to take or understand or to help oneself or to be in touch with even. So it's like sometimes I can't even understand it. And then it repeats again. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I think that like music is very helpful because a lot of times, especially like because music is very much informal. Like no one speaks to people, no one writes song lyrics in formal lyrics, in formal grammar. So I think it's really helpful, especially if you're trying to grasp like colloquial like speak. Because a lot of times, like, not to say that people speak like this specifically, depending on, like the song or whatnot, but a lot of the terms or I forget what they call it. There's like a term for, I think it's called Übertragen. I think that's what it calls, but it's like slang. Like where like, there's things that have one meaning, but then they can mean different contexts. So I love doing these because it kind of forces me to realize that I feel like in the process I'm learning with you. I have been learning German for 2 years and I wouldn't say like I'm 100% fluent. I don't know everything, but I have been able to get to a point where I've been able to make conversations without using Google Translate as often. Like, especially like when I'm like, particularly like with Portuguese, I have a habit of every other word I'm like, I don't know that word. Or sometimes I'll use Spanish because Spanish is like default, like my default when it comes to Portuguese, because Portuguese is similar to Spanish. So getting to a point where you're using Google Translate less when it comes to this, because I feel like sometimes like there are plenty of things in these lyrics that I'm like, yeah, I know what those mean, like right off the top of my head. And there's some words I've never seen before. And so when I do these series every month, it kind of helps me because I'm learning in the process with you guys. So I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm learning. And I think that's what teaching really is that you learn things and then you just teach what you know to other people. So we're sharing the knowledge. Yeah. And also if there's anything that you feel like maybe I missed on on context, you're more than welcome to correct me, especially if you speak German natively. Again, we're all here to learn. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next month on the Dissect a Song series. Bye.